One of my favorite topics, hands down, project management. There is so many levels to project management. Watching a project unfold, it's like the project manager is the director, the person behind the camera, behind the script. So scheduling is a big part of project management. You also have budgeting, you have a scope of work to follow, and you also have like a million subcontractors to work with. And that in itself is a lot of work. Why do we create a schedule? We create a schedule so we can rebuild it all over again. In construction, it's great to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to have a sequence. However, planning anything in life and on a project, things are going to change. Things are going to come up. The successful project manager can do a good job orchestrating and being flexible to those inevitable delays that are going to come up. So a good project manager is very flexible and is quick on their feet. They're able to take that checkerboard and rearrange it to get to the other side and get a king. So as much as the project manager and the contractors need to understand the schedule, we have to remember the people that we're building this for, they need to understand the schedule. Without them understanding it, you're gonna have a lot of awkward conversations with your clients that never need to happen. So it's so important to continuously update them. And that could be a daily log that they get an email every day. It could just be a text, whatever their preference is, check with them, but it's important that they're aware of scheduling as well as any delays you're experiencing on the job. So on top of scheduling, something that we pay attention to is more like milestones in a project, like when the foundation is complete, like that's a big deal. Your framing started, that's a big deal. We kind of want to hit those milestones. So we look at the body of work, and that is a great way to work a schedule. So again, I love having a plan. I know it's going to shift, but when we stay focused on our milestones, that can be a home run. Another critical role for the project manager that I think is super important is understanding a budget. Now again, kind of like a schedule, the budget will shift. It might go down. It's most likely going to go up. I'm just going to break it to you now, it's going to go up. But it's super important to pay attention to it. Again, you have something you're watching and you're paying attention to, and because you're tracking it, you automatically will get a better result. How do we come up with a budget? That is a collaborative experience with you as the builder, the project manager, and the client, right? They ultimately are the ones that are writing the check, so it's super important they understand the budget. But it's very important from a project manager's perspective and also the builder's perspective that they're putting the input in on that so they could educate the client on what things cost. Sometimes there's black, there's white, but we got to talk about the gray when it comes to budgeting.
How would you suggest a project manager having a difficult conversation with a client regarding their budget?
Keyword difficult. It's never easy. It's always a difficult conversation. However, it's all about how you approach it. If you put them immediately on the defensive where you're letting them know, hey, it's going to cost X to do X, they're automatically going to be on the defense of that, okay? You have to come at it from a different angle and educate them on why is it X. Break it down for them. When you break things down, it clears up a lot. Another great aspect that budgeting has on a project, and a project manager has to make sure they're carrying that budget with them, is when you're dealing with your vendors. And I'm not talking subcontractors, I'm talking your vendors, your cabinet suppliers, you know, your countertop people, your tile, all that stuff, all the finished stuff. It's so important when you're meeting with a designer or your rep at any vendor house that they understand your budget, because you could spend days having a client select tile that is completely south of what their budget is, right? So it's important going in that not only you, not only the client, also the vendor has to understand what the budget is. One of the most challenging jobs a project manager has on their plate is managing subcontractors, okay? Subcontractors are the lifeblood of my business. They mean a lot. They mean a lot to the project manager. However, the subcontractor is exactly that. They're a sub, so they are specific, okay? So you have your framer. He's thinking about framing. He's not always thinking about hey, where's the plumber gonna run his line in that wall? Or where's the HVAC guy gonna run his ductwork? It's important from a project manager's perspective that he is the glue between the subcontractors. It all comes out of communication. Everyone has to be on the same page, and that is easier said than done. That is a true task. It's constantly communicating. It's not just set it and forget it, because schedule changes, budget changes, things come up. You have to continuously communicate with your subs. For instance, if a HVAC contractor is scheduled for the following week and the plumber ran behind, well, you got to let the HVAC guy know that, because if he doesn't know that and he shows up, he's going to be very upset. He could have went to another job to get done while waiting for you to be ready for him. So again, that could have been avoided by just communicating. Also, with subcontracting that I find to be very challenging is you're dealing with a lot of personalities. Personalities can be tricky, right? So you're a manager, and when you're managing anything, it's tricky, especially people. People are very hard to manage. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because we are a team, and you have to remind everybody that we're a team. We're all here working together to get a result. But everyone's got a different personality, so as a project manager, you have to know who you're talking to, how to speak to them, how to schedule them. I have contractors that are like drop of the dime. They want to be called last minute because they just that's how they roll, right? Other people, they tell me they want to know 2 months in advance, so you have to know that. And we try to be cognizant of that, of knowing who we're dealing with. How are they going to take this information? You know, how far out do they want to know? How much information do they need? I have certain contractors that get glazed over on the eyes when you give them too much information. Some of them, very experienced, you just let them do their deal and you just kind of sit back and watch it happen. How do we stick to a timeline, which is connected to a schedule? But yeah, sticking to a timeline is different. Timelines are critical. A timeline could be, hey, we set 5 to 6 months for this because the couple needs to get in here. They're having a new baby, right? And they want to be in by June. We just had this actually happen last summer. Timeline mattered a lot. So how did we manage that? By going back to the basics, by managing your schedule, managing your budget, managing communication between the whole team. That's how you stick to a timeline. It is a whole body of work. It's not a one-size-fits-all to stick to a timeline. Again, nothing in project management is set it and forget it. So project management is a keystone in my business. We take it very seriously, and I look at it as a muscle. Just like a muscle has to get worked, same thing. We have to continuously work at it, continuously get better at it. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on project management? What do you think could help a builder, a contractor do a better job from a client's perspective? Project management, could they have been more communicative? Could they have been more, a little, like maybe attentive to your needs? I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on project management.